Now, we look back at some NBA stars who were also masterminds of the game in this week's edition of Time Out. That old saying of mind over matter is certainly applied to the game of basketball. Even the most physically gifted superstars have had to rely on their mental abilities as well. Players are constantly absorbing and processing, analyzing and interpreting, focusing and planning. And once they have gathered all the information, they put their bodies to work to carry out their plan. Having the mental edge can often make the difference between winning and losing. And many of the NBA's greatest players have used their minds to stay a step ahead of their opponents. One such player was the Big O, Oscar Robertson. Another thinking man's player was former Trailblazer great Bill Walton.
At the end of this long conversation with Walton, I got up to leave, and he said, you know, Coach, there's one thing more. And I said, what's that, Bill? He said, don't assume we know anything. And I said, okay. So that's a rare thing when you hear a player say something like that. He was a fierce competitor who wanted to win and would do whatever he had to do to win.
There wasn't anything that he didn't do that wasn't thought out. He might have put a little extra swirl on it at the end, but it was always on the money and for a point.
You know, just watching him dribble up that court and looking you right in the eye and not knowing what he's going to do is the scariest thing you'll ever want to be involved in.
This man can concentrate at a very quick pace. Game time comes, and the focus is there, and it's quickly done, and he's able to get his mind on the spot at the moment and at the point. His total readiness to respond to the necessary needs of the moment.
Michael Jordan is in another time, in another space, on another plateau.
He dreamed the game. He knew what was going on in everybody's mind.
That fake.
He would just keep thinking and thinking, and the more he thought, the better he got.
Now he's going to slow it out. Over the head to McHale.
This was the smartest guy in the world of basketball.
Now they clear aside for Larry. Fakes. Bird. There's the play of the game, right there.
Hall of Fame centers Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain waged many epic confrontations. And Wilt was clearly the more physically overpowering of the two. So Russell relied on his mental approach to the game. He countered his opponent with his basketball savvy and came up with a strategy for his battles against Chamberlain.
You see, what I had to do was discipline myself psychologically or intellectually. In that, to never get into a numbers game with him. Because then I'd be playing his game and not my game. And my game consists of doing things that made my teammates effective. It took me years to find out how to play him, because if you play him you can't play him the same way all the time, because he'll make adjustments. I had about 4 or 5 different ways I'd play him. But the idea was that I never could stop him, but I could put some speed bumps. That's the best I could come up with.
And those speed bumps slowed Wilt down just enough, as Russell won 7 of their 8 matchups in the playoffs. But he wasn't just focused on stopping Chamberlain. Bill was outfoxing the rest of the league as well, leading the Celtics to 11 titles in 13 years. He combined his knowledge of the game with confidence in himself and his team.
Russell had an attitude, and most people would just say plainly a winning attitude. That doesn't really describe it all. He thought he was the best defensive player to play. He also thought he was the best all-around player to play. And he thought that any team he plays on should win every single game. So that sort of permeated the entire team. How can we lose? We can't lose. And that was Russell's gift.
You go out there in a game, there are 10 players, 3 refs, 2 hoops, 20,000 people, one ball. And what's going to happen with that ball is the most interesting thing.